Well, it's a sort of misty rain here, and that's not ideal for what I'm about to do. And you can guess what that is, because in this here jungle, it's getting a bit difficult to get around. So it's definitely time to give this grass and dockleaf lawn a bit of a chop. It's certainly getting a bit overrun in places. So I know people don't like to watch me mowing, so I'm not going to show you, but hopefully after I've finished it will be looking a lot better. There's some telltale signs here of a chicken coming to its end, but it wasn't one of mine, so not sure where that was from. But what I am going to show you before I get started with that grass cutting is a fantastic, exciting discovery I made yesterday. So how do I get in there? I think we're going to go back this way. You guessed, it's a squash discovery, and I was pretty excited by it. Right, down we go. I think I came up here. So leaves are starting to die back a bit now, get a bit thinner. It's all looking a bit weaker, the foliage. And I got up in here thinking perhaps there's something in here, and I saw that one, which is quite exciting. But even more exciting is this one. Oh, there we go, we're in. And then I look down there and there's another enormous one, and I know that they are blue hubbards because I just recognise the shape. Who knows what's lurking under here? It's all good though. When I do the grass this morning, I'm going to just chop through leaders that are going over, but this one has got at least 2 small pumpkins on, so I'm going to find a way of saving him. I'll just stick him over there for now, and I don't think I'll do it any harm just there. And this one, well, that's got 2 pumpkins on it as well. And I think it's about time I terminated that. And this one's got a pumpkin on it as well. So I don't know, I just find it really hard to wreck a pumpkin plant when it's got fruit on it. This one's the same. Let's just put him inside there. You can see this one here, it's just starting to change colour. Beautiful. And that one, very different, but looking good. I'm going to turn him. Right, it's no good putting it off any longer. I've got to get on with this lawn. While I'm winning, I've got most of this end of the plot mown. Still got quite a lot of strimming to do here, of course, and I've done all around my paths, but still got quite a bit to do. I thought I'd just take a bit of a break and have a look in the polytunnel, because there's definitely more tomatoes to be harvested. And Mrs. K is thinking that we will do some pasta sauce to get used these final tomatoes, and you can see that the tomatoes are starting to wane now. The leaves are dying back, and it really is getting to that point where it's really the last throes of the tomato season here. There's been 1 or 2 really cold nights, and that seems to have accelerated the fact that the plants are coming to the end of their natural life. And you can see it in the pumpkins and the squash, and you can see it in here, and gradually things will start to die back. I'll keep these going because there's plenty on here that still needs to get ripe, but I am taking them when they're partially ripe, as you can see, because that seems to be working really well. And by the time they've been indoors for a little while, they soon get to a nice ripe state. So I'm going to get a basket and get these in and see how many tomatoes there are left. I was thinking it's Tuesday today, and I only picked these about 3 days ago. Just shows you how quickly they come on. Right, I'll crack through and get as many of these into this basket as I can. I'll show you at the end. So there we are, that's another batch of pasta sauce just waiting to happen. And there are some really nice, particularly these plum tomatoes. They're such a good size and a great flavour too. Well, this patio area that's not finished yet, I think that's probably going to be a winter job, has not been a success. Flowers in here have been too susceptible to slug damage, and that's a shame, but it was worth a try, and I'll have to relocate some of these things somewhere else where they're probably not going to get quite so much damage. But I did want to show you this beautiful dahlia which I got from, I think it's Gracie bulbs, but they are beautiful. Look at that, what a fantastic colour. There's two really nice flowers. I might end up cutting those just because of the slug damage that happens here. And these were the ones that I grew from seed, and they've been okay, but they've certainly been damaged again. And this one has fared a lot better, and it's a really beautiful dahlia and gotten quite large in that container, which is fine. Well, this kale gets better in the winter. I know that sounds a bit odd, but it does, because there's so little slug damage during the winter months. So I'm just going to make sure I prop it up, because the wind will take these down, and as you can see they've already started to lean over a bit, so it pays to give them some support. This one's just starting to lean over, so we'll get him supported as well, and I'll put something around the stems so that it's nice and firm, and they'll grow back a better shape. And this one I think I'm going to end up taking out because it's gone to seed, and there's plenty of other vegetable here for us to use. So I have noticed that the chickens absolutely adore these slug eaten leaves when I take them to them, so I'm going to take a few around and see if they want to munch. Well, these little girls particularly like this. And I'll take the rest to the other hens. Well, welcome to another keep your fingers crossed white rot moment. So these are my banana shallots, which I hadn't touched since I've put them in. There's a few weeds growing in amongst it, but fingers crossed I've not got white rot in here. We'll see very shortly, but I'm going to take these out and cure them, much like I've done with the rest of the onions, and see how we are doing. Right. Oh, they seem really firmly rooted. In fact, I think I need a fork. Well, that of course is a good sign, because when they've got white rot, invariably the root structure is really poor. And these certainly aren't. Well, it's very much an onion-shaped shallot, but we'll take it all the same. Now that one is not great. Put him down there for a minute. That one's good. Right, I'll work my way through these and see what we've got. I think, hopefully, it's not looking too bad at the moment. Okay, see how we go. Well, that was a really nice crop of banana shallots. So there was no sign of white rot in this bed at all. I'm pleased to report that one soft one I think was just a little bit of damage on the side. So this bed is potentially a bed for onions next year. So there might be some hope yet of growing some onions. We'll have to see. But it's good to know that this one is free of the dreaded white rot. And that one that didn't look like a shallot was an onion. And that too had fared really well. So fingers crossed, this bed could be good news next year. We'll see. Well, I can't put it off any longer. Got to keep going. So I get this done and then I'm up onto the higher level, which, to be honest, apart from this edge, is not so bad. I'm getting there. Well, no prizes for guessing what's coming next, but I am winning. Good times. I'm done. Cream cracker spent. Can't think of any others, but I'm certainly worn out. But it's been good. We've got pretty well cleaned up now, and the plot's back into some sort of semblance of order. And I'm sort of hoping that with the cooler weather coming, that the grass growth will diminish. I can't imagine it will start to come to an end, but it's certainly going to diminish. I've got a few poles here. I'm going to get those in and around my purple sprouting broccoli. I think that's next on my agenda. And then I'll take a look around and show you what's left in the ground. Well, actually, I'd already put in stakes, those plastic stakes, in and around the purple sprouting. So I'm just going to get these fellas in next to the cow, and then hopefully that will give the cow protection during the winds of the winter months. And we haven't had any real strong wind so far this year, touch wood, but I was hoping that, well, rather strangely, my bean construction would have been tested, but so be it. I'm happy to have plenty of beans and not test the structure. It may be it's not actually tested until next year. We'll see. So they're staked up. Get them all in about the right height, and then that'll give them some protection during the winter months. I want to show you my beans. There's so many of them. That moment when they just get hugely prolific and they're absolutely everywhere. I'm going to have to do a real mammoth harvest of these. And I've been picking the ones down below, but leaving the smaller ones, and they're just coming through now. That's some beautiful straight beans. Look at that one. I think I won't win any competitions, but I am pleased with how they've come along. They're absolutely everywhere. It's going to be a mammoth crop. I wonder if the other side's the same, given that the sunlight tends to hit that side. No, not quite as prolific. Just goes to show the sunny side of things makes a big difference. And I noticed my leeks, which are doing well, have got quite a lot of weed growth in there now. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to worry too much now about smaller weeds, but something like this, which I don't know what it is, I'm going to pull out, and anything that's sort of looking remotely troublesome is coming out. And that way I can hopefully keep them growing, because they don't like the weed growth around their stems. So it won't take long to pull that out. Stuff that down there. The purple sprouting broccoli that I put into what was the broad bean bed is doing well. I had a bit of an attack from the slugs, but that seems to have been, well, belayed by this eggshell, which is certainly a successful way of keeping slugs away. Not totally, but it really does help. I just noticed a stinging nettle down there, and he's coming out too. So in this main bed, the only other thing that's still in the ground and awaiting a winter frost is the parsnips, and they certainly do look really healthy. And once I've taken that net off, they just seem to come on again, which is terrific. My courgettes, you'll notice, are now covered in that sort of powdery mildew, and that's a sign of the time of year, a little bit of the colder weather, and they start to die back. See two nice courgettes there, and I think I've got a whole bunch in here as well. Yep, there's one. So more courgettes still coming. Looks like there's a bit of a giant in there. Yep. So I reckon we'll have probably one more picking of, I don't know, 6 or 8 courgettes, and then that'll probably be it. And as soon as that cold weather hits these leaves, they start to dwindle. Well, of course, the squash and pumpkins still in the ground, and I've shown you that, but I just get so excited. Look at the size of that, and even those in there just coming on every day. There's actually 2 there nestled together. Quite incredible. So stop getting excited about courgettes and squash and pumpkins. Come over here and have a look at what's left in this part of the plot. Well, we've still got some beetroot. So there's the 3 types of beetroot, and we've got some left of each. And the other day we had a meal out, and they served Hasselback beetroot. So that's beetroot peeled, sliced in half, and then sliced finely across the back of them, and then roasted. They were fantastic. So I think there's a few in here that are going to be heading that way. You can see there's some nice sized beetroot in there. Over here we've got the cabbage. There's a little bit of damage occurring now, so there's definitely some beasties got in there. But just look at the heart on these fielder kraut cabbage, and this one is just a giant. And we've got a couple of spring onions that are clearly no longer spring onions but silver onions, and this is the greyhound, and again they're getting a little bit of damage, and we're getting this purple colour appearing on the cabbage heart, which is a sure sign that it's hardening up following the cooler weather. And over on this side we've got the celeriac, and I'm going to be taking this net off soon. You can see them sort of forming there. They've got quite a way to go, but I think we'll get some good celeriac out of there. I'm just going to let them grow on as long as I can, and that way we get a really good crop. In here I've got some turnips that are nearly ready. You can see this purple variety there, and over here we've got Swede, and looking in there we're starting to see some firming up of the root, and they're swelling up nicely. So this side, that one's empty. We've got a few small celeriac over in this bed, which I really don't think are going to come to anything. So we'll just let those carry on in there and see later on in the winter whether there's anything coming of them. And of course my onions are just curing in what should be sunshine this week, but turned out not to be. And that's the Globo, that's the Elsa Craig, we've got some Bedfordshire Champion, and of course the banana shallots, which I harvested today. Well, apples are doing nicely. I think you can see they've really started to develop, all of them getting a bit bigger, and it definitely helped to get rid of all the extra ones that were really not going to come to anything, and keep them all fairly small size. So thinning them like that, I think, definitely worth doing. And of course the potatoes are storing in the pots, and these Zero are a real problem because they've got scab, but we're still eating them, and those last 4 pots are going to come out next. And then the purple sprouting broccoli, which I've got in this side of the plot, those 4 are doing really nicely, and I had to put 2 extras in here because I think they got snaffled by the chickens. So that's pretty much what's in the ground at this stage of the season. and the weather's definitely changing, but I think we can still rely upon some good crops over the coming weeks. And whilst the tomatoes are coming to their end, the peppers are just motoring on, and well, that's probably the most dense pepper bush I think I've ever grown, and there's going to be a right old harvest there which will be harvested in one go, and we'll put those into the freezer and we use those during the course of the year. And these, not quite so prolific, but be surprised when you start picking these, and these are lovely sauteed in a frying pan with a bit of olive oil, cut in half, just fantastic. And the cucumber is also suffering from the cooler nights, although we've got quite a lot of cucumbers still left in there, to be honest, more than we can eat, so we're giving them away on a regular basis. And the only other thing to show you, of course, is the carrots, which are coming along nicely. I noticed this one has got a split in it, but that's okay, it'll be fine. Those carrots, the plan is each carrot ends up as a meal. It's that sort of size that I'm looking for. Well, last job of the day for me is just trying to get a bit of space on this flat area, because what I want to do is get the compost bins over this side for the winter. So I'm just going to stack all these together, I think, make myself a bit of space, and then I'll be able to get the compost bins on this membrane, and that just helps to prevent the weeds growing up through the bottom during the course of the winter months, which they would do if I left them. So these potatoes will become the regenerated soil. I still haven't found out whether or not the soil in those potato pots that had the scab is usable, or whether I shouldn't mix it. So if you know the answer to that, then put it in the comments below. I guess what I really want to know is whether the soil transferred into the other compost would be a problem next year or not. Sometimes with scab and things like that, it's not the case that it's in the soil, but I haven't been able to find out. Let me know if you know. Right, I can get some of those bins over this side now, get rid of some of this bindweed, which is ever present. I think I've got two in here. I have. There we go. Okay, so these will make the basis for my next year's potato compost. Just going to turn them out so that I can access them. I'll put another couple in here, and that'll be me set up, ready to fill them up. Well, I hope you have a good week and that the weather stays reasonable. Who knows? Here in the UK we might get an Indian summer. It sometimes happens. Good times. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, why not like and subscribe? And if you want to watch my videos on a regular basis, then just click on the bell, and that makes sure that you get notified when I upload a video. And I upload my videos every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8 PM, so far without fail.